Hey, what's up, Donnie?
Hey, how's
Here
it
for
going?
the deck profile?
Yep.
All right.
Let's get to
Let's
it.
do it.
You're fresh back and you're ready for it, huh? Just
Fresh
like that.
back is a little bit rough to say. It was quite the time getting back. Our flight got canceled. Technically delayed a bunch, but then eventually canceled. But yeah, fresh off a top 8 and first after Swiss at YCS Costa Rica. It was a very interesting time. I've never gone to undefeated before in a YCS, and I had plenty of people in my ear telling me, be careful of the curse of the undefeated. And I said, you know what? Let's just face check it. If I lose in top 32, I lose in top 32. Still an achievement to say that I've gone undefeated in YCS, but we took it all the way to top 8. Unfortunately, the only loss I ever suffered in the tournament was due to time. So I think that speaks volumes about the deck itself right now. So a lot of people will just say it's shifter pass, haha, I opened shifter, I opened this, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot more than that. If you're relying on shifter, you're relying on an unsearchable 3 of, and that's just not good. And, the deck obviously has a ton it can do. So without further ado, let's just get into the deck profile and we'll talk about some changes and sentiments moving forward.
Yeah, let's see the man who evolved past normal Rabina.
Yep, here is the mat, extra deck. So obviously, still 3 Rabina. Never anymore, sadly. Same with Eaglin. Toucan always just at 1. Stree was the biggest change up, and same with Mega Ryza. So don't need to talk about these 7 birds, but adding into consistency, the 2 extra Stree and 2 extra Ryza. When you're playing against a deck such as Tier Element, they're just going to make you mill. Like, once they figure out that you're playing Flunder, they will make you mill. They will make you hit those 10 mills. And then as the tournament goes on, people know you're playing Flunder because you're sitting next to, as you keep winning, you're sitting in higher tables. People you're going to be playing next to are going to be eventually sitting across from you. So if they make you mill those 10 cards and you lose like a Ryza and you only play 1, you're out so far because this is your main way to interact with their board. And then I understand with Stree with the shufflers, it's like you're already down on 3 birds because this card just will never resolve. But it still just sucks when this card, gets sent to the graveyard and you just can't really get it back unless you have a Mega Ryza. Toucan I didn't ever really want to increase on. I was always just happy on the sentiment of increasing Stree. But those are the main points, and Double Ryza honestly outperformed the whole entire weekend. There are so many times where I'd make plays around having both, but the plays I would make would seem absolutely suspect under having one. Like the fact that I would go like summon this, target like his 1 card in the field, 1 card in graveyard, and they would chain an Imperm. This happened, I think, the last round of day 7. He chained Imperm, and I just chained Advent banishing this, knowing that I have a second one. And then same with just keeping it on field. Like, it's always kind of awkward when they have 2 extra deck monsters on field, and you want to bounce it, but you don't want to lose access to the Ryza, so you have to bounce this to hand. So just having the second Ryza in deck, it really was just, like, the best performer of the whole entire day. And then at the same time, like, I understand like OCG has been doing this for a while and it's been lagging in TCG just because I never felt it was needed. But Avion was only really good in a situation that was simplified game state. And it's really, really, really hard to get to simplified game state when you're playing against Tier Element. It's just not really going to happen. So that's the only time it's like actually useful. Rest of the birds, the barrier statue, don't really need to say anything about this. 2 Impin, it's been pretty standard for quite some time. I don't understand how anyone can play 1 Impin anymore. And then 3D shifter. This card was okay during the tournament. There was actually a lot of times where I'd activate this card against Tier Element, and then I just lose because I didn't draw one of my like 6 or 7 outs to Baguska. So like I would just activate this card and they make Baguska pass. I didn't see anything, and then I just lost. So it was really funny, just like how hard. Like it's not enough to see this card anymore. You have to see it plus something. So going first, it's obviously really good, but I didn't always see it going first. And then mandatory cards, 3 map, 3 admin. Admin obviously being the best card in the whole entire deck. Without this card, this deck is probably just unplayable. Easily would play more if I could, but no need to change any of the ratios there. And then 1 Dreamy Town, 1 Unexplored wins. These cards are fabulous. I would never really increase on them unless the situation, unless meta drastically changes, where like playing 2 of this would be good again, or like playing 2 of this. Like against Despia, it was really strong because you could just activate this and they have to respond immediately with their brand in red. So, but that situation no longer exists. So just playing minimal copies is perfect. Plus, like, this card to me is an absolute like Like, I think this card is, like, probably, if not the best, the second best under, like, Advent. Because, like, people will tunnel vision on statue, but then forget to deal with this card. So it's like, they'll get all their stuff Book of Moon as I establish, like, another Infinite Rise. That's insane. And then the 2 pot cards, Prosperity and Duality. I was playing Extravagance for a little bit. I just don't think it's needed. Just, play the standard 6, and then the rest of the cards are essentially just board breakers, which we'll get into now. We have the 3 Dark Ruler, then we have the 3 Mystic Mine. So this card is very funny, because these are my 6 outs to Baguska, and then I guess the 7th in the form of Terraforming. These cards, the Mystic Mines, were very funny. It only came up one time where it was actually good, where my opponent went Orange Lights, Kelbeck on my Urbina, and then he went Havness on my next bird. After making me mill 5 and making like Kick Hollow, or I think he made the Kick Hollow off Havness. Or no, he didn't mill anything. He made the Kick Hollow off Kelbeck and then search Havness and Havness on my turn. But it only came in that one situation. In my Imp and Search Advent, I rise it back his Kick Hollows, activate Mystic Mine on my turn, pass, he passes back, and I just kill him. That was the only time Mystic Mine was good the whole entire tournament. The rest of the times, I think there was maybe only 2 other times I activated this card, and it just didn't really do much. So I don't really think I'll miss this card all that much. It'll probably just be some other form to stop Baguska. Then Dark Row No More. I did play against 3 Sprite, so this card was pretty clutch in those matchups. I don't think I'll be changing it just because I still need an out to Baguska. And then 2 Lightning Storm in the main. It seems a little awkward. It's just, going into Costa Rica, I just felt more confident having just like back row hit in case I play against a Thunder Rogue. I didn't. I played against 5 Tier Element in Swiss, 3 Sprite in Swiss, and then 1 Flunder. So 1 mirror match. So they were nice to have, but it didn't always come up needing them. Yeah, that is the 40 card main deck. Any questions? Anything to, you want to ask? Because I know this is going up on Oblivion, so we can be a little bit more casual with the deck profile.
Yeah, so actually, I know our viewers are going to be interested in it. With Mystic Mine going to be leaving and how the stigma of, oh, Mystic Mine is this broken card, it saves rogue decks, what do you plan on adjusting? Or do you think the Flunder strategy needs to change with some kind of, like, card that will save them from just auto-losing?
Yeah, so it is tough because how do you replace a card like Mystic Mine? I know D-Fissure can kind of fill that role, at least in the sense of like Baguska Pass, because like if you go Shifter then activate Baguska, or Shifter then activate D-Fissure, it's still kind of hard. They have to make the Zeus to out the D-Fissure, but it is definitely difficult because like Mystic Mine you can hold in your hand as the last card. D-Fissure you really can't hold in your hand as that last card. So I know Alejandro and I were talking about like Imperm, if that would be like a good substitute, because at least like stopping Kit sometimes can be really good, or just turning off the Drake Spell early, or just having that extra out to Baguska could be good. But I'm not really sure moving forward. I think right now I'm just thinking about the D-Fissure because that has like a good like middle finger to the Baguska after you shift her. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be streaming like the upcoming weeks, and we'll be testing out different ideas. But for now, the card I think is fine to come out of the deck. Same with Terraforming. If I'm not playing multiple field spells, I don't really like Terraforming just because it's really easy to get into with Prosperity, Duality, and Advent. So not really sure if it's needed. Yeah.
If you want to be able to check out Ryan's stream, we'll have his Twitch channel linked in our description, and we'll be able to keep up it for all you Flunder players that want to keep up with the spice for the birds.
Yeah, small changes, but when you're playing a deck that plays like essentially resource management and trying to establish a simplified game state, the micro changes are always going to perform macro, or give macro results. So, like, you really have to be very cognizant of how you're deck building because you can't just have dead cards. You literally just cannot have dead cards. Like, having 2 Prosperity in opening hand, which is how I opened my Game 3 hand against Pac. It was double map, Rise, a double Prosperity. I'm like, oh my god, I have a 3-card hand. It's horrible. You just can't have dead cards. You literally just cannot have dead cards. So you really have to focus on these like micro changes to really have a good success with it.
So moving with those micro changes, let's see what changes you made to the side deck to be able to help you combat the deformat.
Yeah, so we have 1 Feather Duster and the 3rd Lightning Storm. The Feather Duster is in here obviously for the Feather Storms, which everyone knows you should be playing. when there was a time where Tier Element was focusing on doing what's it called, Eradicator, they switched over to Rivalry of the Warlords because they'll just call spells, so you can set that, and it really just destroys their board. So for a small amount of time, these weren't in here, but they are back in here in full force. Because there were times where I just set this card and then also still side into Feather Duster, and they'd go like back row hate, and I search Feather Duster after activating Feather Storm, which is just disgusting. It's so hard to play through. You can't really set much because I'm just gonna wipe it next turn. And then my Rise will put this back, and then the 2 Trap Tricks for the Feather Storms. I'm very happy with this ratio. I didn't want to play 3 Trap Trick just because there's so much milling going on. Like, if they are able to mill on my first turn and I have Trap Trick and I hit like 2 Feather Storm off the mill, this card is dead. And at 3 it just seems like way too much. But then going with the other 2 1-ofs is the 1D Fissure, which is at 1. These 2 cards are at 1. This is a 3rd copy. Actually, excuse me, I'm sorry. All 3 of these cards are at 1. And then this is a 3rd copy of the 2 in my deck. So it may seem odd having 4 1-ofs in the side deck, but to me it definitely makes sense. Set rotation didn't really come up. I was thinking about putting the Necro Valley in there just because I wanted something to have instead of Mystic Mine as that set rotation target. It never really performed the way I wanted it to. I know it's a way to just be able to turn off the zombie world if I just never flip my field spell, or just a way to chain to the zombie world to make sure they can't like resolve it. But it never worked the way I wanted to. And later in the tournament, I essentially, like, I think in my top 8 match, I stopped siding it. So I wanted other cards. So yeah, those are the first 9. And these are the last 6. These cards are essentially what I will be putting in every single time against Tier Element, because I need a way to not lose to Zombie World. It will be sided against you. It is a given. It is 100% fact. You need to have something in your deck to stop Zombie World. Just like every single Tier Element player knows that they need to have something in their side deck to stop Flunder, no matter what. So these cards work extremely well. You know, I was able to shuffle back a Baron and send Omega. I never really interacted with the Omega engraved like I thought I would be, just because my hand was so good. But like as the game got on, or would go on, I could probably just like Omega, target a shuffler, and get it out of the way so they have to chain it. Yeah, no, these cards were fantastic the whole entire weekend. Ultimate Slayer, I know the argument will be that sometimes it can clog, but we are siding, like, we are keeping the Mystic Mines in the main. We're at least keeping like 2 Dark Ruler in main, so we do have more Ounce of Baguska when the situation does arise. But it's just like you're not going to be able to reliably shifter every single game, so you need to have something else to be able to like work through their like Tier Element board. By either sending like the Entis or like the Gura, which I never actually sent Gura. I did send Entis, I think 2 or 3 times. But yeah, that is a side deck. I was very happy with all the cards except like set rotation. D-Fissure only ever came up once, and that was in round 9. Honestly, pretty much the entirety of the day, I was just playing Flunder. Like, I was literally just playing Flunder. I did brick sometimes, which is natural, but my bricks were in pretty non-consequential situations of like, say I won the die roll, I went first, set up my board, and then I look at my hand going second, I'm like, this is just unplayable. Thank God I won the die roll. And then other times it was, I think I lost game 1 after losing a die roll, my hand was a brick, then I just win the next 2. So yeah, the bricks were pretty inconsequential in the overarching tournament experience, but in the time I could definitely see if like I had 2 back-to-back bricks, that'd be very bad. But no, the deck performed extremely well. And on to the side deck. Best tokens. I guess I'll just fan it out and go one by one. You don't really need to say much. I guess I'll go over the Ultimate Slayer targets, and I guess maybe some other sentiments moving forward. We have the Zeus package. Nothing really to say there. We have our outs to just really big monsters. We have our outs to untargetable or unaffected ignorant monsters. We have the Anima for the small birds. We have the Phoenix in case we need to, get rid of the zombie world. We have Conductor. This is in here. This card will probably honestly just come out because Mystic Mind's no longer a thing. It was only in there for that situation. When someone Mystic Minds your Impin and Statue, and you want to be able to play, so you link those 2 off into Heartbeat Conductor, set Advent, and at their end phase just banishes away with Advent. So this card will probably be coming out just because it's going to be essentially useless because no one plays Mystic Mind anymore because it's banned. And then the 6 targets for Ultimate Slayer. I do not side the Evil Twin card. I do not want that brick in here because Sprite is less popular, so we're not really going to be seeing many links. We might see the Elf on our turn, but typically, like, I don't know. It doesn't seem that necessary. They're even in testing, instead of the Evil Twin card, sure, I came up because I was at a point where I just didn't have any birds in hand, and I needed to. Oh, this match was also hilarious. I was playing Pat Hoven, and we had a 3-hour long match just because we had people on both sides of us, and we were just like shooting the shit the whole entire time. It was fucking hilarious. But this came up in that game 3 match against him where I just had no birds available, and I go Ultimate Slayer, send his elf, send Shirag. Shirag goes to grave, trigger because I have 2 birds banished, search a bird, and we can play from there. The Intis, just having multiple, you could probably, honestly, maybe cut one, I don't know. Ultimate Slayer, you can resolve multiple per turn, so it's just good having just multiple resolvable targets. Gura, never sent it, but it logically makes sense. This card came up in testing, where, like, some people would, like, just go Baguska Zombie World Pass. Like, their hand wasn't strong enough to really be able to play through, like, the board, so they literally, or, like, to actually, like, set up a good board, so they'd literally just go, like, Baguska Zombie World Pass. And having this card in your extra deck, you can shovel back the Baguska, and this guy's effect to turn off Zombie World. So, like, you're able to at least play for a turn and do something, but it's just better than just losing outright. And then the Omega for the Baron target. To me, it makes sense because you can try and target your birds to shuffle them back if they did mill. Yeah, that is the full deck list.
So, any shoutouts that you wanted to give out?
Yes, of course. First shout out goes to Alejandro Cruz for coming with me to Costa Rica. I was really hoping we could have gotten him his first stop, but there's always more events. Always Team Oblivion. Very grateful to be on the team. Very grateful to be traveling as much as I have this year. Everyone I stayed with, everyone I hung out with at the YCS, I had a blast hanging out with all of you. Raph, Pat, Tej, just Hisam, Hani. There's too many people to name. I had an amazing time hanging out with all of you. You guys make these events worth coming to. If I didn't have the group of people to hang out with when I go to events, I probably wouldn't be so enticed to travel as much as I have been traveling this year. But yeah, also Donnie behind the camera, of course. Thanks for coming to my house to film this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but that pretty much concludes it.
And with that, I'll keep an eye out for us. We're going to be at the Remote Duel YCS. So we'll be in those Discord channels. And keep an eye out on those Twitch streams. We're going to be doing some spice. And until next time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Donnie.
Yep.